Thanks for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the blueprint. The major story here says, President begins handover process, Boss Mustapha heads Transition Council. HOSF, NSA, other members. Signs Executive Order 14 of 2023 for seamless process. NUC orders closure of varsities nationwide for 2023 polls. All the details on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Leadership newspaper. 15 days to elections. President Muhammadu Buhari's exit plan rules out chance of interim government. CSOs warn proponents. President names Boss Mustapha Transition Council chairman. You find all the details on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. We want to win these elections. Buhari, Tinubu to Sultan. We want to win these elections. Buhari, Tinubu to Sultan. You find all the details on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Mike?
Well, I have this Nigeria here, and it's talking about the polls. NUC orders 3 weeks closure of varsities. All right, NUC orders 3 weeks closure of varsities. That's what this Nigeria has. This Nigeria. And it says February 22 to March 14, shut down to enable students participate in elections and safety of workers' institutions. Adamu, Education Minister, is saying this. You see that on the front page of this Nigeria. This day is next. This day, says Malami, federal government will obey Supreme Court ruling against banning old Naira notes. Moves to vacate order. Right? Malami is saying federal government will obey Supreme Court ruling against banning old Naira notes. Moves to vacate the order. That gives reasons why suits should be set aside. CBN attributes quantity of new banknotes to hoarding. And NSA tasks lawmakers to find solutions to crisis. All this you see on the front page of this Nigeria. Daily Trust, or this day rather, excuse me. Daily Trust is next, and it says Naira crisis. All right, food traders count losses / prices of wares. Food traders count losses / prices of wares. POS operators close shops, and experts dissect situation. Federal government official Lord's development. Emefiele, INEC chair, brief Council of State today. Okay, all this you see on the front page of Daily Trust. Now let's move to Nature News, which is the last one we're looking at now. Nature News says cholera outbreak in Anambra. Blame open defecation. UNICEF and WASH are saying this. Blame open defecation on the because of the cholera outbreak in Anambra State. UNICEF and WASH are saying blame open defecation. That's Nature News. Veronica?
All right, gentlemen, let's look at this story. A lot of Nigerians have been waiting with bated breath for today, because about a week ago, 7 days ago, that was last Friday, the president said that Nigerians should give him 7 days to make a decision, and that 7 days expires today. And if you look at the papers on the front page of the Daily Trust, Emefiele would be briefing the Council of State today, which is the meeting that the president will be having, where the decision will be made on how we move on from here. Even though we read this morning that the Attorney General of the Federation will be obeying the Supreme Court's order, but then it's still looking at rooms to challenge that order. But then we still have this matter. I'm wondering how you see the conversation going on today, Sam.
I think it's a schizophrenic moment for the government.
Right.
Schizophrenic in the sense that in one breath, they say, okay, we are trying to obey the order. That's the Attorney General. Kind of dress rehearsal for the president's decision, almost as if he said, this is where the president is going to go.
It's preempting.
But you know, as a proud man, as an egoistic person, I will still challenge it. It's just like a man who has been caught by his wife to have lied. about the money kept under the bushel, and he said there's no money. He said, no, I'm not hiding it against you. I'm just trying to keep it there. The money is for you. It's supposed to be a surprise for you. Well, you have already been caught, but your ego must have its own place, so that you don't say that that I'm such a bad person after all. Things like that. So that is what is going on. If the president is going to give a decision, it's supposed to be a definitive one. And if that decision is going to be that let the old nose live side by side with the new ones, well, are you going to court? Or if the president decides that the old nose should stay side by side with the new ones, are you going to still pursue it in court? That's why we want to say that it's a schizophrenic moment for the government. The government has to decide where it stands. Meanwhile, people are suffering.
Yes.
People can't eat. As I said, the serenity that is exercised in Aso Rock over this suffering is still baffling to me. That you can sit down and watch people suffer over what belongs to them. And as I said earlier, that this is not an issue of CBN rights or CBN rights. It's a more fundamental issue of law. It is about human survival. It's about human rights. That itself is more important than the rights of anybody, from president up to the common citizen, to exercise power over the Naira. Because the law, the basis of the law, which is the survival of the people, is more important. You have to have people to have democracy.
Absolutely.
You have to have people to have central bank. You have to have people to have the president. If there are no people, who are you going to rule over?
Interesting dimension there. But Mike, do you see it the same way too?
Yeah, no, of course. I see it that way. The point there is we don't expect anything less today. Now the Supreme Court has put the first step forward as to how things are going to be. And that's why from today, we don't expect there's going to be any more tension the way it is. What we expect today from that meeting from the president is to give the directive, that decision, that power, the authority that the money should exist side by side, and then the monies that the central bank had already withdrawn will have to be re-injected because there is inadequate cash in the system right now. So that has to, so that people can have whatever
access their funds.
Recall that the National Assembly had said, move this thing to June. Let it there, June. June should be, you can start working now, from now until June. Anything you want to do, put it between now and June. So we may likely see that kind of agreement where the Supreme Court has ruled, the National Assembly had made a recommendation, the executive will implement. That's what we're seeing. So today, from today's meeting, we want to see, Nigerians expect to see decisive move by the federal government in the area of the cash as well as the area of the fuel. Because this election, as we're saying, just like Sam has said, if you don't have the people, what are we doing all of these things for? There's no democracy if there's no people. You cannot say you call trees together as though there's democracy, or you call animals and goats and chickens and you say if there are no human beings and there's no. So when you push people to resort to the issue of just survival, I was speaking to my mom yesterday. She was at the bank. I couldn't get any monies. So the point is the same thing. Like we have always said, Lagos, what we see, the chaos in Lagos is even little if you compare it to what the people in the hinterlands are going through.
Yeah.
And Lagos is just a small fraction, or Kano, or Port Harcourt, or Abuja. It's a small fraction of the entire Nigeria put together. So how about the person in Igbobazoa, in Edo State? How about the person in Sapele? How about the person in Mambila, in Taraba State? So the point there is that if you look at what the argument of the states that went to the Supreme Court, the argument hold adequate point, as the case may be, because Nigerians are going through a lot of hardship.
Absolutely.
If you want this election to hold, and you want it to hold well for people to participate and come out and not show apathy, then ensure there is money, ensure there is fuel. In a situation where INEC chairman has to visit NNPC and plead, please give us some fuel or guarantee some fuel. Go to CBN, please give us some cash, guarantee.
I mean, it's
it tells you
unheard of.
that things
It's
have
unheard
gotten
of.
to a situation where you have to start pleading. In fact, maybe INEC will also, INEC will also go and plead. IG of police, give us security. It will plead until they have to plead with everybody for a system to work. For just a system to work. No, it's not. It shouldn't be. So the government, the president today, the meeting today should put an end to all of this. For Monday, we want to see everything return to normal. Because
Absolutely.
NNPC has accused of hoarding. There's enough fuel. We are doing this. CBN is accusing bank of hoarding. So it means it's a man-made situation within the system. It is not. It is
So
not
how is
actual
it that we
scarcity.
cannot check the activities of these hoarders? You know there are people hoarding. How is it that you can't just nab them and deal with them?
You don't want to do it.
Maybe they
You
can
don't want to do it. That's why they said that they are fifth columnists. At least one of them has come out. You know, in those days when you want to find out where the rat is, you put smoke inside the rat, they will come out. Because they have been smoked out by the law. And then a lawyer, the law smokes a lawyer out of the they come out. So they have confirmed that this thing has been going on for a long time. It's a battle against one man. Inside his own party. A battle against one man. And it started over 2 years ago. It started when Akpan Udo then first said we are going to have a consensus candidate. He himself could not benefit from it. He ran away from the party. And that's what was going on. So they came, they took over the executive, and they said that's how they are going to do it. Then they came again with the law. So we don't want everybody to vote during the primaries so that it will become selective, so they can manage it and synchronize it. They failed again. So they keep doing different kinds of things to try to stop, the candidacy of Oma. You can imagine how a society can do like that. There's one novel, a play called Public Enemy by Ibsen. Public Enemy. The person they call the public enemy, because ironic, is a man who wants to solve the water problem in the society. Everybody, every group, were all working against this one man. So the real public enemy were the group of people fighting against the man who wanted to solve the problem. It's an amazing situation. But this is a situation that I want to see how history will write this period.
Right.
This is the politics of this period, the gang up of this period, the coalitions, and the steadfastness of some people in this period. I want to see how. I want to also see how media history will be written about this period, about what editors decided not to play up and what they decided to play up, about how they decided to actually close their eyes against absurdities and iniquities of one side and decided to play up the absurdities in their own light of the other side. It's going to be interesting how history will write and chronicle this period. It will be very interesting.
All right. We wait for how things will be today, but I think Nigerians have suffered enough and they want to see a change. At least when that meeting holds today, the weekend will be used to work out all of those things, finalize all of them, and by Monday, Nigerians want to see some level of normalcy return.
Hopefully, because a lot of Nigerians, you recall, yesterday we had the TUC representative here who came out to say that they had given the government 7 days ultimatum. Several groups had come out to speak about the suffering of Nigerians. A lot of persons, traders counting their losses, as we see on the papers. They can't sell. And a lot of Nigerians were put in a very tight situation, and they are hoping now that today the president will do the needful and ensure that they get some relief moving forward from today, hopefully, because if that is not done, I wonder what could happen.
It reminds me of Fela's song, say, we will not get water, light, food, house.
The compounded situation.
Yeah. Like I was asking Mark, if that statement does not move in the direction that a lot of Nigerians are hoping for. What do you think?
No, what might happen afterwards, we may not know it yet. Recall that just a few days ago, we saw the protests in Oyo State. We saw the protests in Ogun. We saw the protests in Edo and so on. The Lagos governor was proactive enough to ensure that it doesn't spill over.
Yeah.
Right? Good. That is not to say that there are no people waiting for it to happen. And the point there is that there are also people in Rivers State waiting to see how, we are going to react. There are also people in Kano waiting to see how we are going to react. But the point there is that the governors are, like we saw Governor El-Rufai speaking to his people, going from place to place, talking to people. The point there is that many governors understand how this, and they have been proactive, going into the streets, meeting people to say, okay, fine, let us work together and trying to create some palliatives for people to have a soft landing, because people have now been pushed to the survival mode. And it's dangerous. The reason why this is different is because now we are talking of what belongs to them and they cannot access. Right? What belongs to them and they cannot. If they are looking for food somewhere and they can't find it, okay, the food is not originally mine, but I'm trying to get it so I can survive. If you're looking for fuel, well, the fuel is not mine, but I'm trying to get it so I can function. But we're talking of monies that belong to the people. And you know that I have money here and I can't access it. It makes the people not just only frustrated, but angry. So the moment you combine the two phenomena, then you know that it's going to be troublesome.
I think
it's going to be troubling, rather.
I think what we're experiencing is the frustration of the cabal. It's the frustration of the cabal. That's what we're experiencing. The fifth columnist. You know, I said you that when the expression of fifth columnist, I said the fifth columnist, your expression was given by one Emilio Malo, a brigadier during the Spanish Civil War, who wanted to run into Madrid with 4 columns. And he said there was a fifth column inside Madrid that we joined them. The fifth column did not succeed. And Madrid stood against it.